Hi guys, so for today's video you're going to need a skein of white, red heart yarn or whatever color you want. I used weight 4 yarn. You're going to need a scissors, a 4.5mm hook or a 5mm hook, your preference. You're going to need some stitch markers and darning needle to sew in your hooks, but I use a smaller hook. I'll show you further down in the video. Last but not least, you'll need a tape measure. So to start today's video off, we're going to start with a slip knot and start chaining a chain long enough to fit the waist and stretch to the measurements of the hip. I was making a size small with a waist of 25 inches to stretch to the hip measurements, that's 35 inches. So I ended up making my chain 27 inches long. It's still small enough to fit the waist and it stretches to 35 inches. So now you're going to join. Make sure that your chain is not twisted and then chain with a slip stitch. Then join with a slip stitch, my bad. Now to start the lower half of the dress, you're going to chain up 5 to serve as the first half double crochet, then skip 2 chains and do a double crochet into the third chain, and you're going to chain 2 and place a double crochet into the third stitch, skip 2 and place it into the third, then you continue, chain 2, place it into the third, and you continue like that all the way around until you get to the beginning. Now that you're at the end of row 1, you're going to now place a slip stitch into the third chain. Then you're going to continue just like before, chain up 5 and place a double crochet on top of the previous double crochet. And you continue doing the same actions, chain 2, place a double crochet on top of the other one, then you continue just like this for row 2. At the end of row 2, you'll do the same thing, chain 2 and place a slip stitch into the third chain. Then you chain up 5 and continue the same actions for row 3. You will continue doing the same thing for the remainder of the lower half of the dress. No increases, no decreases, just continue filling double crochets until you get to your desired length. So for this dress, I made in total 20 rows for the lower half. Now you'll see me counting here. So now next I am going to place some ruffles around the bottom half of the dress, the ending. Up here is the waist where we'll continue afterwards. So to do this, I chain 5, and then place a treble crochet inside of the same where we joined or made the slip stitch. I will place 5 treble crochets or as many as possible just to get that extra ruffled look. So for each chain you want to place at least 4 or 5 treble crochets just to give it that extra oomph, give it that extra ruffled look. Here you will see me counting just to make sure that I have enough in each chain. By now you should be able to see the ruffled look. It starts to curl on its own. So the more treble crochets you place into each chain, the more curly or fluffy your work will look. So continue just like this all the way around to the other side until you get to the end. Now that you're coming up on the end of this row, you're going to want to place a slip stitch into the fourth or at the top of where you created the first 4 chains. And to finish off, you're going to do a chain 1 and then cut it off. This will secure your ruffles for it to not unravel. So yes, look at it guys, it's so nice and ruffly, so pretty. Now we'll start working on the top half of the dress, the best part in my eyes. It's so pretty. To start the top half of the dress, you're going to want to flip it to the back, and wherever you made the first join, where that string is, you're going to want to count 7 squares away from the center and then place your stitch marker there. So right here I realized that I made a mistake. I put it at 8 instead of 7, so I'm just correcting myself here. Now to start the upper half of the dress, you will start with a slip knot. And get your hook and place it into the chain, or on top of the double crochet that has the first stitch marker, to the left. Then you'll continue just like normal, chain up 5 and place a double crochet into the next, on top of the next double crochet, and you'll continue around the row just as you did for the bottom half of the skirt, but instead of going all the way around, you'll stop at the next stitch marker. Now we are at the end of the first row. You will continue just the same, no decreases as yet. Chain up 5, turn your work and place a double crochet, and I don't know why I turned it like that. And place a double crochet into the on top of the other one, and you'll continue for 5 more rows without decreases. So at the end of row 6, this is where you'll start decreasing. So to do so, you'll chain up 5 as normal, but instead of placing a double crochet on top of the next double crochet, you're going to skip 1 and place your double crochet into the second one, and continue as you normally do by chaining up 2 and then placing the double crochets on top of each other until you get to the end of the row. Okay, so now we're coming up on the end of the first row of decreasing. So you're going to chain 2 as normal, skip that double crochet and place your double crochet into the end stitch, count up 3 and place your double crochet at the top of that end stitch. Then you're going to chain 5. You see that big hoop? You see, that's how you know you decreased. So chain up 5, turn your work, and place another double crochet into the second double crochet. Skip one, place it into the second one, and you'll continue like this until you get to your desired length, or how small you want the neckline to be. Okay, so this is what the top should look like. I made 6 rows without decreases and 8 rows of decreases. And I made a final row, just a regular row without decreases, just to give it a more sharp look. So for the straps now, I am going to chain a chain long enough to wrap around the back, create an X, and hold the back together to like do a X strap. So I made my strap 63 inches long enough to stretch over the shoulder, create an X in the back, tie it, and make a bow. So I'm going to cut mine off here, and I'm also going to place some ruffles on the first part of the strap, like the first 13 chains of the strap, just for it to stretch over the sleeves. Now I'm going to attach the other strap. Not sleeves, I mean for it to stretch over the shoulder, for the ruffles to stretch over the shoulder. I'm going to start making the ruffles now for the shoulders by placing the slip stitch onto where I had the first stitch marker, and I'll do the same thing as I did for the bottom row, the lining of the bottom. Chain up 4 and place the treble crochet along until you get to the end of the 13 chains. Then I'll repeat the same thing for the other strap, and then we're basically done. Six and a half hours later, we're finally at the end of this dress. I'm using a 2.25mm hook to sew in my loose threads because that's my preference. I know I could use a darning needle, but I just prefer to do it this way. So I will go all around the dress and sew in every loose thread just to make it look nice and sleek, and I don't want my customers seeing any loose thread. So right here I'm just placing the X in the back for my customer so that it fits perfectly, it cinches the waist, it does what it's supposed to do, and then we're done.